SKT가 저희한테 그런 정도까지는 크립토나잇 그런 정도까지는 솔직히 느끼지 않고요. 그냥 충분히 이길 수 있는 상대라고 항상 생각해왔고 지금도 그렇게 생각하고 있어요.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Player Experience stream. I'm here with Azael once again and Gate. And after that crazy Rocks Tigers double marksman dual lane, we're just going to take a close look at the bottom lane now for game number 3.
Yeah, why not? And I mean, hopefully we'll get something crazy like that again. I don't know if this was something that was just like a one-off thing they were planning, or if they're actually willing to use this as kind of like a bot lane counter every time.
Yeah, I think it's the counter to Zyra at least, or their perceived counter. I'm not too sure it'll work into everything else, but could you imagine like a Braum against that?
Probably feels pretty bad, or Alistar, or like anything.
Anything really.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, we are going to look at GorillA's misfortune support from the last game. This was the build path there. Pretty interesting stuff. You kind of think, early AP for a bit of that damage, but kind of changed a lot as the game moved on.
Well, and I actually think that Frostfang on a lot of supports that can proc it very easily is super underrated. Getting that early, you get a disgusting amount of gold from the Eye of the Watcher throughout the game. He had I think over a couple thousand gold actually earned just from his Frostfang, from the whole game. So it gave him a lot of gold, and it made a lot of sense, I think, to go into Armor Pen and kind of healing debuff, and even the armor shredding from Black Cleaver, like you were saying he was going to build into.
Yeah, he's a team player for sure. But yeah, I was wondering too, what was he going to build after that? Maybe just some more Armor Pen, like a Maw or something, and he killed Victor at the end. So
yeah, I mean,
just needed that.
it's pretty crazy. It's like at that point he actually is kind of becoming a semi-ADC, right? Like you actually are becoming somewhat of a damage threat. It's kind of in a different way. It's funny because Zyra becomes kind of a mid laner late game, right? Like when you do have those items and stuff. Is this going to become actually a second ADC if it goes long enough?
It's like the AD Zyra, right? Because Zyra does like the magic, but MF does the physical part of it. So I don't know.
I love it. Well, we are going to see what happens in the bottom lane. So 2v2, PraY GorillA versus Bang, and Wolf dropped his Banzadon, sorry, excuse me. Syndrop, Rise, Aurelion Sol, and Jace 3.5 mid lane bans once again. Karma ban this time for Rocks, actually Nidalee going to round up the bans there, but we saw this from PraY. His Ashe is incredible. We saw Bang's Ashe in game number 1 and weren't that impressed. PraY showed up on Ashe, and that's the first pick overall for Rocks here.
And last game, honestly, was a complete smash in the bot lane. PraY was disgustingly ahead of Bang, and the whole team, like Rox's whole team, did a good job of kind of snowballing that, right? With the bot lane dive that they did, the roams down. They put a lot of effort in it, and it really paid off big time because PraY was massive at the Baron fight. He was massive at the end of the game with that arrow stopping the TP. So this guy showed up huge, and we'll see if Bang can kind of battle back a bit in this game 3.
I also think SKT are getting completely destroyed in the pick ban right now. You see they're really there. 1-2 before was Zyra and Zyra and Olaf, sorry. But now they're really hesitant to pick the Zyra into the possible MF, and Rocks ban their own Karma. So there's Rocks can actually just take Zyra for free, and assuming SKT don't have a great counter pick into it, could be disastrous.
It'd be pretty funny if they pick Zyra now and then Wolf plays Misfortune support.
You think he has it ready? I don't think he has it ready.
I wouldn't think he has it ready, but you never know, man. Yeah. Some of these guys have a lot of balls and are willing to bring out picks in these big international tournaments. Obviously, I think that one is not one that you probably have ever practiced for most people, but...
Well, they actually don't take Zyra on the Rock side. They go with jungle once again for Peanut. Lee Sin into Olaf for the second game in a row. SKT's junglers have only played Olaf, interestingly, this series so far. And Kuro are going to take a nice safe mid laner there in Victor. So no huge surprises, but we do have to look at bottom lane here. SKT are likely going to lock in one or maybe even both of their dual lane picks here. And Zyra being up kind of says to me that they should probably take it.
Well, I mean, it's like I was saying, though. The
MF,
right? MF is still available, so they've kind of... Because of that MF, they really have put a wrench in the gears, but it is going to be Zyra locked in, and now we get to see, is it just going to be MF locked right
Oh my god, he did it!
Oh my god.
I think the reason for SKT's big ban right now is they feel like they've learned something significant from the last game from the Zyra. They're willing to go up against again, but with Caitlyn this time. So maybe it was the AD carry mismatch too. So yeah, I think at least they're willing to tailor their gameplay just a little bit.
Yeah, I think Caitlyn actually changes this up a lot. I think that Ezreal was a lot weaker into this than the Caitlyn is. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, the follow-up CC that you have makes it very scary for the MF. If you can actually land a Zyra root on the MF, follow that up with a Caitlyn trap, this is going to be a squishy support. That guy can just straight up die. So, he does have the poke. You do have that ability to kind of zone out the Zyra, but you are going to be very susceptible to kind of getting that poke traded back on you. And I think that Caitlyn should match up better against the Ashe and the MF here.
And also their last pick in Echo here, I think it also does well into every one of Rox's champions right now. I think it does well into its own matchup as well as like all the immobile champions Rox picked.
Yeah, and we saw this in the last game. It's actually a very similar looking game. FLICKR and Oriana is a bit of a change. Kuro took the victor there, and that again should be a relatively straightforward mid lane matchup, but FLICKR did get an edge, what we thought would be a farm heavy matchup here. I think Rox Smurf should be fine in his 1v1, maybe if Peanut comes, and Peanut paid a lot of attention to the bottom lane last game, so could have a ton of action once more in the bottom lane, as we will get a repeat of the wonderful Ash MF bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, FLICKR has gotten more than a little edge in both games.
Yeah, true.
He's pretty
kind
much
of destroyed that
smashed.
lane.
In game 1, he was not only up 30 CS while getting 3-man ganked twice, he solo took the first turret. Like, he's been smashing lane, and I think Kuro knows that, and Kuro is kind of trying to get out of lane and do other things elsewhere, so that's something that SKT always has to be aware of. Because Kuro, it feels like he's bailing out of lane a lot and just going to roam.
Yeah, also, if I'm Kuro, at least from the last game, I would feel confident in my team. Like, he didn't really have to contribute much. He died a figure like in lane, but he knows he could still win the game off of it.
Yep, I have to think again, Rox comfortable with the setup, but like you said, Gate, maybe they learnt something after playing against it there. Well, we'll have to see what happens, but keep your questions coming on Twitter and use the hashtag AskTheCasters, and we'll continue bringing you answers throughout the day. We had a lot of great questions so far. Keep them coming in, and you guys are probably excited to see the support MF last game and not be able to ask questions. Now you can. We're here with the bot lane stream. We've covered top, we've covered mid. Let's go where Gate loves support. Now his new favorite support champion, I assume, is Fortune.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about it earlier, but you know, my go-to against Zarya is Brand. And he's telling me something new. Maybe this is the way of the future.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be at least giving it a shot, try it out, and see how it goes. You got to imagine the solo queue is going to be...
Preferably not in my game. Any other game, it should be fine.
Yeah, maybe in your game on the other team, but...
Oh, yeah, for sure. But then I hope I'm not playing Zarya.
Yeah.
We see a lot of fighting. Like, this has happened every game so far. Both bot duos will just come here and fight for vision so they don't get cheesed in a level 1.
I mean, Wolf lost his flash in the last game, so hold on to it there. Playing a little safer there, back toward his lane. GorillA actually going back, interestingly, or maybe just, yep, seeing the animation. It is a good one.
Just having fun, really. There's nothing to do in the level 1 here.
Yep. Caitlyn not getting poked either. The off to the side, Bang and PraY were kind of looking at each other, but pretty normal as far as the level 1 goes. Plant spawn up by Zyra, and be curious to see kind of what the duo lanes want to do here as the waves first meet.
It's kind of an advantage for Zyra for this to happen because, you know, you see her just spawning her plants. She's going to be able to, unless all of them die here. Yeah, she has at least a small advantage. Like, she can help use the plants to push the lane and get like that level 2 advantage. And some damage going out too.
It is going to be nice. So in this matchup, are you going to be favoring Zyra Caitlyn then because of that AD carry change, or you still think that the MF should have enough of an advantage to actually kind of put it in their favor?
How I like to see it is just in these delicate like range versus range matchups, the most important HP is actually on the range champion or like the support champion. We'll just have to see like how much damage, you know, PraY and Bang can like exert on the opposing support actually.
You know, it's actually pretty interesting as well with just the love tap passive and stuff from MF. Her autos are actually pretty impactful, even just that one auto trade. You can see he's prepping autos on minions, kind of remove that debuff, put it on something else, and then he does get those autos off on Bang whenever that debuff is ready. He's just going to go 3E, one auto. So it's a nice little trading pattern there too.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I think most of their damage should actually be like focused on Zyra, because if Zyra's too low to like contest the brush vision, it's actually the lane gets really swung. Like at this timing, I think they're trading too much damage on PraY because, or Bang rather, because Bang has some sustaining in his Dorn and his like Warlords. So yeah. I think it's just like they have to focus their targets a little bit better.
Yeah. There's a lot of lifesteal and kind of sustain from Masteries 480s in general now. You have not only Warlords and your Dorans, but you also have Feast that you give the 30 HP back every like 30 seconds from minions. You also have the just percentage lifesteal talent. So I do definitely agree. I think that focusing that harass on Zyra would make more sense. And PraY is kind of taking more of that poke so far.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing it right here. Yeah,
they're trying.
They are both supports. Honestly, like when you play these range supports, they always go all offense in their room pages and masteries. There's like not even a little bit of defense, so just using your spells do more damage on them as well.
You can see a lot of consumables actually move through. Wolf is out of biscuits, but there's still some there for GorillA, so maybe winning the poke war, but looks like the push is kind of in favor of SKT right now. They did actually early on get the level 2, but didn't convert into too much else. And you can kind of see the play pattern for this lane. We've even got like extra plant auto attacks to try and clear them out fast because you do have 2 AD carries. Like, it's really interesting to watch this lane 2v2.
Yeah, and as like it seems like SKT already learned from this. Their early game's going pretty well. Wolf's at like, just like I say it, he takes some damage, but
Yeah, he actually took like 40% of his health there, so that's like a pretty significant amount. And since he doesn't have potions, the next couple trades are going to be pretty important.
Yeah, he's gonna have to go home if he gets like the same pattern. I think MFE's up. He's gonna take some damage. Yeah, I think he's playing it fairly well for the most part, but at least they have control of the lane for SKT right now.
Yeah, I will say I like it a lot more when PraY actually saves his volley to use on the Zyra. So like when you throw down the MF, make it rain, you throw down the slow, then that should be like a super free volley that you can actually go up and land there. So to me, that's more what he should be aiming for. But PraY has been kind of more trading with Bang, using his volley and try to use it on the minions and stuff. But especially when Wolf has so little sustain left, he doesn't really have anything left. If you hit one more volley, the guy just has to leave, and it looks like he's going to have to leave right now. But
he's going to get to leave for free though, as
yeah,
he's going to come back, and Rox won't get too much of like a footing on this lane. So overall, Wolf just sacrificed his health for like lane positioning, and then now he's gonna get back like at a good time too.
Picks up the early Frostbang, so he's gonna be pretty rich.
I love it. You can see Bang. He's going to do what he can here. They're going to try and push the lane back out. Great damage, actually, just from the Make It Rain love tap. But Fox not going to take this opportunity. We'll back together. And this is something we talk about in a lot of different lanes, but I feel like maybe is most critical in bottom lane, your back timings. Because, 2 people can push out the wave. You want to make sure it's in a good spot. And, of course, you want to never be too far behind the other guy as far as itemization goes.
Yeah, ideally, like the best situation is just to have 2 people.
Oh, Wolf's here. They could try to look for something. If he can hit a
kill,
root on
actually.
Kuro.
Ooh, bit of a bait. No ult from FLICKR. Yeah, Peanut going to eat it.
That's a
Gets
lot
out
of
though.
damage.
Yeah, that's a good little trade. And I mean, the fact is, getting him low now kind of gives your lanes a little bit more freedom to play with. You know that their jungler has been chunked out. He can clear the pink board. And although it is a bot lane stream, you still have to track how the other lanes are doing. And Rox kind of had to make that move to try to help Kuro out a little bit, because Kuro was actually getting quite far behind to FLICKR in the mid lane, and it has now evened out as a result of FLICKR backing off and then being able to kind of push it in.
Yeah, this is like kind of, like you said, Kuro's laning hasn't been super great the last few games. When you're playing like a TP-less mid laner like Victor, pushing out the wave and getting the opportunity to go home is really big. So it's definitely good for Rox to help him with that.
Yeah, he's going to need to upgrade his X score. So he actually got that threshold, so he is going to be pretty happy about that. And he was down like 12 CS before they actually kind of pushed FLICKR back. So he gets a good base off, but back here in the bot lane, it's going to be a big wave pushing into SKT that they can start to collect. And already GorillA has eaten quite a bit of poke there.
I think the most important thing now for the Rox duo, they're going to just get their ults together, or hopefully like around the same time. They're just going to use it on one target. I think that's a guaranteed kill. It does, like, Emma probably does like 800 damage with her full combo, maybe a little less, but yeah, I think that the threat right now is just hitting level 6 and just casting your spells.
And it feels like that's what happened a lot in the last game, so curious to see if SKT can learn from that and maybe change some of their positioning and keep those summoners up, make sure they don't get tagged by an arrow. Though PraY is very good at aiming, I will say that much.
Yeah. And to me, it kind of feels like when it's that sort of situation, SKT needs to kind of get them in this disadvantageous health point, basically. Like, they have to chunk them out before they can get 6 and do the all-in, right? Because if you're very low and you go for that all-in, the other person can kind of trade back and maybe kill you off. So we'll have to see if that's going to happen. But Peanut sneaking around here in the bot lane, and
ooh, there's level 6 as well. They are going to go in. GorillA flashes forward. Wolf's going to get ignited, and there's first blood again. Peanut, kick bang back in. Absolutely massive play, and GorillA will just stay alive.
Wow, that's exactly what I was talking about. They just use their level 6s together. GorillA flashed in.
Oh no, it feels bad. Protective.
He's going to get...
Yep. Oh, ulti, shields. Yep, see you later. Penguin gets an easy kill.
But
Peanut doesn't follow that
Is he
cue.
going to die? No way. Okay.
he's going to live, but I don't even really know. Okay, he is going to be able to come back and pick up the farm. I was going to say, if he lost all that farm, it wouldn't have been super worth it. But yeah, right off that level up, instantly throws in the ult. So they'd actually called Peanut down before Ash was level 6, so that he was in position. Right as he levels up, he skills his ultimate, hits that there, and they're able to go aggressively in for it. Peanut landing it, the kick flash in. Very nicely done by Rox, and obviously very aware of kind of those power spikes that they have to hit, like you were talking about, waiting for the level 6. They didn't even need it on MF.
Wonderful target selection. Great execution on the play. This is kind of, I think, what we were missing last game when we were looking at mid lane. So it's great to see it back in action again. And, you know, PraY up about 10 CS. Bang is doing just fine, but his Ashe is amazing. If they can continue this pattern, GorillA roaming up, doing some poke damage to FLICKR, clearing out wards. He's got pretty fast attack speed, so he's helping out in the pink ward clearing department as well. But this is according to plan as far as Rocks are concerned.
Yeah, also the more I look at it, like, I can see exactly why MF is a great counter to Zyra. When Zyra moves up just to cast her spells, it's kind of slow. Like, just casting the E right away and just moving out of the way to not get hit by the Zyra spells, it seems pretty easy to do. And like GorillA's just doing it over and over and getting Wolflow sets up that kill. So I think they're actually really well rehearsed with this bottom duo.
You have a pretty significant range advantage. Like, make it rain, you can actually throw that down from quite far away. And Peanut, once again, back to the bot lane here. They're just going to be looking for the return gang because they know that summoners are down on Wolf. If you catch him with an arrow, he's basically 100% dead. So Wolf is going to have to play very, very carefully.
Oh, no.
There it is.
Did it again. Stun lands through. Oh, he's out. He's actually going to die just on his own now. GorillA gets it. This is amazing.
This bot duo is so hilarious to watch, honestly. They just cast their spells together. It's just like a guaranteed kill every time.
It's obviously very different, but it kind of reminds me in a way of how people used to play old Graves Leona lanes and stuff like that. And obviously that's a long time ago, but that's kind of what it reminds me of, where you just play that lane to hit 6 and you'd have almost guaranteed kill if you execute your all-in properly, and this feels very much like that, at least against the Zyra.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's super safe to use, because if you miss the arrow, it's like, okay, let's try again next time, but if you hit it, it's just a free kill.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Peanut's paying attention down here as well, but he didn't need to be there for the last one. He didn't know that, so it's good that he's there anyway. But we maybe expect the other lanes to suffer. Smeb doing just fine 1v1. Kuro behind, but it's not too bad. SKT, they're going to try and collapse here for this Cloud Drake. Looks like Rox won't be in position to contest for it, so I like this move a lot. No vision there for Rox means that should be a Drake given over, but Rox have picked up so many Infernals this series already, they're probably happy to give away this Drake.
Yeah, I mean, you're never happy about it, but I will say that it's okay.
Oh, feels bad.
Oh, he stole it too, and then he's going to get the kill.
That's really gross.
Oh, that is actually quite nice there for FLICKR, because having a CS disadvantage is one thing, but when you start giving someone who's ahead of you in farm and XP, also giving him kills and extra gold in that kind of way, that's when you can really start to snowball and take over. So Kuro's going to have to be careful.
Yeah, that was well executed on SKT's part. Oh, I was scared for him right there. But I think Peanut, just the series too, he has been playing pretty carelessly.
Yeah.
I mean, if he saw the ball right away, I'd assume he figured like, okay, there's more than one person missing too.
I think he was just greeting for the Wraith, honestly.
Yeah,
he wanted it. I think he could have just ward hopped out, but he wanted to get the Wraith, and he loses both the Wraith and his life. Not worth.
Yeah, I think also maybe his team, maybe the comms were not clear on who could be there. I'm sure if he knew like 2 people could be right on me, he would definitely just jump out as soon as he sees one.
And they're trying. I like it from SKT because you tell the Brooks are trying it again. They've got their ultimates back and ready, but Wolf does have his flash back. Couldn't flash the first arrow, didn't have it in the second one.
The fact of the matter is, even if you shoot out the arrow as PraY and he flashes it, you're still super happy about that. That's a much shorter cooldown, especially because Ashe is likely going to build into CDR. I would assume, he has the longswords are probably going to be building into Essence Reaver and that kind of CDR build. And you have a lot of Ashe arrows up, you can keep trading them, and anytime you're able to get a long summoner for that, it's going to feel good.
Yeah, and also for SKT,
there it is.
Yeah, going again. Ulti follows through. Not enough damage this time, but Bang does commit his own summoner this time. It's a heal.
I guess they can't kill him from full, so that's kind of sad.
PraY also didn't even auto once. Yeah. So I think that had PraY been further forward, they might have been able to, but even just pushing him out, look at all the damage they're going to get on this turret now, and and if their jungler was around, they could easily threaten the dive. So they have so much pressure because of it.
Yeah, I think this is as big as a counter pick we've seen so far. Like, really, I don't see what SKT can really do against this pairing. Like, the Zyra can't get in range to do anything. The Caitlyn is like just sitting there farming, nothing to do because the range is too long from MF.
To me, the thing you can do is you can bring down your jungler. Like, Olaf, I think, can run these guys down pretty well, and especially when they're pushing to your turret like this non-stop, I think that getting some help from your jungler is kind of what you need, right?
Yeah.
And that just hasn't happened this game. If you leave it in the isolated 2v2, it's going to be really bad. And losing that turret now is so bad for SKT because it unlocks these guys to move around the map and kind of do this to other people.
A major point is just like the first Ash arrow we saw with Peanut coming down. Like they executed on that play first. Maybe if like the Olaf was there much earlier than Peanut, they could have done something. But yeah, it's gotten to the point where you can't really help them, and they already lost their turret. So nothing much for Blank to do.
Ooh, Wolf's gonna get faced at Kuro. That's gonna force a flash, and I feel like Wolf knows he's gonna die the next time he sees PraY and GorillA with that summoner down. Also of note, they did go back and buy. They kind of stayed for a while, committing for that tower. They've given a nice bit of extra gold. So Swifty's done for GorillA, and Essence Reaver completed for PraY, who has tier 2 boots up already.
I think that flash he just had to use was really like a slip in focus, because like a common Zyra trick is obviously just to W the brush before you
Ash
check
arrow.
Oh. Yeah, he was definitely dead if that hit, actually.
Peanut wants it, kicks in again. Enough damage. Oh, it's barely not
exhaust.
enough. Very nice from Faker with the shield there as well.
Yeah, Wolf just...
Wow, 32 HP he was done.
I can't imagine being Wolf right now, actually. I would be tilted from this play phase, so maybe it's really affecting his play, just how the game is going.
You kind of have to think so, because the fact of the matter is, Ash ult from full vision, he wasn't even slowed, and he's been hit by like every single Ash ult, right? The last one where he got ulted into the turret and didn't flash that, these are things where you would expect a player to be able to reactively flash that relatively easily. And he's not being able to sidestep, he's putting himself in bad positions, and he's not kind of like being able to respond in a good way. But I will say that trade right there, at least, is pretty decent for SKT, because Peanut did have flash. Yeah. They're going to try to run down top.
Mab doing what he can. Going to get chased down though, and that seems like not a good time. Freebie there for Duke. Nice little gank there from Blank. So again, not going bottom lane, definitely trying to affect the other stages. Wolf also roaming, so I like that he kind of knows that the lane is not a safe place. He's going to try to go somewhere else. Blue buff here donated to Kuro though.
I do think it's really smart to try to help out the Echo, because he was struggling a bit. And if Duke can get to the point where he is kind of like outpacing the damage of his opponent, you can run down Rumble very easily. And he can really start to struggle in those lanes when you have Merc Treads and Spirit Visage and, like Iceborne and so on and so forth. You can just chase him down forever, so it can become pretty tough. But now it kind of seems like, because bot lane turret is down, supports are roaming. Oh, that's a good flash.
That's the kind of flash Wolf should be doing. But yeah.
Just do what Faker does.
Just copy him.
Yeah, easy.
A lot of people do, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, TP play. What they're looking for.
Oh,
there it's bang.
That looks grim.
You are very overextended. Does flash. Equalizer still slow. GorillA gonna line it up. Flash forward. Ignite. Auto. Make it rain. Ulti. Oh my god, GorillA's a feed.
just watching that just makes me... I had to laugh. It's just too funny.
All right, so that's great timing for our Twitter question there. Brainless Monkey asks, assuming Ash MF keeps showing up, what support can best punish her? Kench, Braum, what are we thinking?
Well,
I think this Karma would do fine. Just like another non-Zyra support. This is a counter pick in my opinion.
yeah, exactly. And I think it's...
that feels bad.
But it's one of those things where it's probably only going to show up if you pick Zyra, right? So it's not just going to be a blind pick support MF, because I think there's a lot of things that could smash this lane. So it is one of those things where we're probably only going to see it show up if your opponents pick it first. But like Kate said, I think there's a lot of stuff that probably could.
This is what I think. For Zyra, she does the same thing MF does, but slower. But if you pick like a different stylistic support, like I said, Karma, she can poke just as well. She can control the brush. She can set up ganks. Basically does all the things MF cannot do. So I think this pairing is particularly strong too. As we're gonna see him.
Yeah, I like this again a lot from Wolf leaving the lane. Zyra does have a good amount of CC. You can see it there with the E, with the ultimate kind of committing in. GorillA's trying to roam around and help. Nice ulti.
Is this one more kill? Yeah.
Wolf, he can see it again. Peanut's just gonna kick him. He's dead.
That is hilarious.
Didn't even ulti, and now Ragnarok pod. Blank could be dead here as well. Peanut
His ult here.
looking for something. Who does he want? Good block there from Duke, but now the Warthog's going to come in. Kicked in the face, slowed down by PraY, and the auto's going to keep coming in. Damage is good. GorillA looking for it, but Peanut gets himself another kill.
This Rox's bot duo is actually just running rampant on the game. Like, I don't know. It seems like it's definitely an issue. Just like this Ash MF pairing.
One thing at least that's going a bit better for them than last game, though, is at least the Caitlyn has relevant farm, right?
Yeah.
Last game, Ezreal was massively behind in farm and kills, so this way he is at least somewhat relevant, and I think that Wolf is kind of in this tough position because once they're this far behind in lane and his first counter pick and blah, 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 you can't lane anymore, so he has to roam, and they have done a good job of at least moving around the map and trying some stuff, but he's going to get punished on the exit.
That's just also just a
PraY is
arrow.
so good.
Yeah, that's just a clean arrow, and I think this I don't know. This whole play just seems a little strange. They're just a little too deep without too much knowledge of the enemy bot duo. Nice kick.
Again, all pretty straightforward here.
Took his time with that one too. Made sure he lined it up.
Bang gonna get red buffs, so he's getting a little better, but Hurricane plus the BF sword means that Bang's kind of in that trough where he just wants to farm up and get 2, maybe 3 items, and he'll be kind of allowed to accelerate that a bit with the Ruin's Hurricane, but Rockstars are just starting to put pressure on these turrets, and now mid-out is getting heavily threatened by 280 carries.
Yeah, they're just getting free hits. Also, they have the Ocean Drag, so they can keep this up for a while. I think they're just trying to... they don't have too much to do on the map right now, so they're just grouping together.
Hero comes out.
Oh, hits him again.
No.
Bang gets hit that time.
Wow.
PraY is just
PraY is
honestly,
actually a beast.
Yeah, he's carrying this game. Like walking around, he's hit so many arrows in a row, and he's been involved in almost everything. 2-0-4, he's only missed out on the 1 kill. GorillA has actually been involved in everything, so this has been such a bot lane centric game for Rox, and they're really doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, that's why it's sad I didn't get to cast about the bot lane the last game. So much action happened where you're just watching Victor versus Karma.
Well, you got your wish this game, Gate, because
Yep.
it's been the show put on once again. And I think you guys mentioned Will's mentality, you know, maybe just feeling the struggle, feeling like, you know, it's so frustrating. I get it in, like, one game you kind of lose a freak game versus, you know, a weird counter pick, and you're like, okay, like, I got smashed, but, like, I can beat it. Let's do it again. He has to be so tilted now.
Yeah.
Like, losing 2 convincing lanes in a row at least, maybe not a game just yet. Like, Wolf's, he's mentally got to be a little done here.
It's definitely tough, but I honestly think that they were doing fine, and they could have perhaps been able to farm that lane out and been okay. But Rox just executed on the first kill so well. You know, you had talked about it a little bit already, Gabe, but just the fact that instant Ash Arrow level 6, Peanut's already there with level 6. Not only do they kill 1, they kill 2, and they get summoners. So that really started the snowball and allowed them to continue it up. So I think that SKT was probably right that they could have played it well enough that it might have been okay. But Rox just kind of like outplayed them. They played it better, they were smarter, they were prepared. And as a result, they were able to start that snowball. And once they were ahead and had a good matchup, it's pretty tough.
I think the key here is actually the Ashe. Like, I know they took Ashe first pick, but that should really just say how important it is to get this Ashe for your duo, as well as, like, you can imagine if you just swapped ADCs, the Ashe could set up on the MF really easily as well. So just like, I think recognizing certain picks, you know, SKT played Ashe the other game too, right? So
Yep.
I think they know how strong Ashe is, and we'll probably see a higher priority on it in the next game.
And of all the players to get Ashe, PraY is like unbelievably good at the champ. He might be the world's best Ashe. Smeb sneaks away, flash scrap shield, gets his way out. And we do have a question actually from Devin Schaefer, who asks, why did PraY play a Cull instead of getting another longsword? It's a very common bottom line question. We see Cull second quite a lot. Gate, insight.
I think it's much better than getting longsword usually, just because one of the benefits is just sustain against a lot of the heavy poke lanes we see. 2, it just lets you get to your 2 item much faster.
Bang.
I don't think this is a kill.
Yeah, no, that one's a little tricky.
They're getting too ambitious. Well, I mean, I guess they just shot out the arrow and see what it would get. But
I also think they were trying to hopefully hit FLICKR, right?
Yeah,
if you hit FLICKR with that ult, then that could be a
maybe
kill.
yeah.
So I think it's still worth a try, especially because he already has his 30% CDR, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not a big deal to use a rank 2 Ashe ultimate. Look at it; it's almost halfway done. The cooldown.
Yeah.
It's just funny to see the MF ult layered on. It's like, oh, maybe I got him.
No, not quite enough there. And I guess just to finish the conversation on Cull, obviously longsword, maybe not as valuable. What about versus second Dorans is the other thing people might consider.
Well, basically, Cull is an investment in the later game,
Okay.
right? It does have a bit of that sustain that you talked about, but if you just want pure laning power, you would go Dorans.
Okay.
So longsword is like, you want power now.
It's the mid-ground
it's higher
almost.
fighting power, basically, and it's building into something, whereas Dorans is full committal to kind of like early. Like, the longsword is a component, right? So you can be building it into something later. It's going to be useful, whereas Cull is a little bit of kind of in the middle. You get some sustain, but you're also going to cash in on the gold later. So it's just an investment in the later game. And I personally think that Cull is undervalued a lot of the time, especially in pro play, because pro play is often very, very passive. And if you're just going to buy a longsword and then farm your lane for 20 minutes, then that longsword was pretty worthless, and it could have been a Cull, which would have netted you an advantage later.
Yeah, I think the biggest argument for it is some ADCs are strong on one item. A good example is Jhin, who goes the armor pen build. For that champion, I would rather get the longsword and then build that into my field boost faster than finishing my Cull.
Blink again.
Sure. But for these kind of AD carries, for an Ashe, for a Caitlyn,
Yeah.
it's more okay.
Ooh, Hollow, big damage, turning it around. Smed gonna get in there as Kuro blows up 4, defenseless. Wolf Peanut gonna tag up Blank as well. SKT, I feel like they're starting to get a little restless.
I mean, Wolf is like
Yeah, he's
almost. I don't even know what he's doing. I mean, he's straight up whiffing his Zyra. He's not even landing damage from it. The last 2 times he used it, it just feels like it's way too aggressive. You flashing in as a Zyra into the whole team, like, what was he gonna accomplish there?
Yeah, it feels like it should be a little calculated. Obviously, you know, he missed it. It looks really bad on him, but it didn't seem like a good chance to use his flash E anyways.
Yeah.
So
The reward was too low for the risk.
yeah.
Ooh, Peanut again in the backline, found Bang, but that's again so aggressive, and I'm gonna say it, too aggressive again from Peanut.
Yeah, Peanut just does what he wants in this
Yep.
series. It seems like maybe they let him loose from the collar, you know. It's like, you do you, Peanut, and we'll just follow up. But yeah, there he definitely went too hard.
Bang gonna farm it up again. Keeping the CS pretty nice. We actually should check in there because we've seen a lot of action, mainly from the supports roaming around. But even there, as far as the AD carries going, let's actually talk about their itemization a bit. Kind of expected builds. They don't change too much. Faker gets aggressive and doesn't get the all in.
Should be ult first there.
Yeah, you need to ult W, and he W'd then ulted, so that global actually missed it.
That ult hit Faker as well. That's amazing play from PraY. He's gonna look to someone down. He flashes in. He knows he can get Wolf. He does take it down. Duke is here. Dives in onto GorillA and gets it, but PraY gonna turn around the damage. Smeb's here as well.
Wow.
Harpoon lands. Chrono shift away. PraY still has to keep cutting, but Duke
that
gets
was
the
so
shutdown.
well done.
And there's
think
the
he's out
Rumble
too.
ulti committed as well. Got slowed. Harpoon barely gonna miss, but Kuro flashes in with the Rylus to secure it, and that's gonna be 1 for Victor.
Duke actually saved that team fight so hard. I think a lot of players would have simply just ulted back out of the fight, but he waited for his shadow to come up, land on PraY, and he picks up both kills there. So that was really well done. Even forcing out Victor's flash to get the kill on him was super worthwhile. But once again, I mean, Wolf kind of getting caught out. He's far up. He doesn't have his flash from the previous play, so he gets taken down. But there's been a lot of mistakes in this game, certainly. Like, FLICKR should have got a kill almost for free under the turret. So Flash, he W'd first and then tried to ulti. If he ultied first, I think he actually gets that kill, and this whole fight can look pretty different. But then MF arrow combo comes out and able to get a lot of damage on FLICKR, and then Wolf is just kind of up in the front trying to save his team, gets taken down.
And like we said, Duke's like the savior of this game for so far.
Look at the patience
Yeah,
right there.
just enough mana to use the Q too. Kind of lucky actually.
All
Yeah.
calculated.
He would have gotten out too because he had Merc Treads, but yeah, the Victor flashed on him. Yeah, this whole game, I think they have to put all their eggs on Duke right now because the spot duo can't do too much, and actually Duke's just his kit is pretty good against the champions on rocks.
I will say though, FLICKR is still really strong, right? Like, FLICKR is getting to the point where he is going to become pretty impactful. I'm looking for another arrow. This one is going to miss, but I mean, Caitlyn is obviously very behind. Does have farm and is going to become relevant. You know, when she finishes her 3rd item, that's when she's going to become pretty scary. It's kind of the same thing for Orianna. So these guys are going to be kind of waiting for those 3 items. And if FLICKR's able to finish his death cap reasonably soon, and then Bang can finish his rapid fire, I think they're going to be in a spot where they are going to be very, very scary. And they're only down 2,000 gold. The dragons aren't super impactful, so it's just going to come down to play and avoiding those Ashe pickoffs.
Yeah, if the carries can get damage off, I think SKT's comp looks pretty good. But actually,
Yep.
I also think like rocks, they have so many like carry zoning tools like MF ult, Ashe Arrow, Victor ult, Rumble ult, all of those things to stop
true.
like Ori and Caitlyn from doing damage. So it's actually, I feel like the game, Duke has to do most of the heavy lifting for this one.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it looks like we have a bit of a siege built up here in mid lane, just some way for the back and forth as Rocks try and protect that mid ADA for as long as possible. Chris Lewis, though, does have a question out in the Twitterverse. Is Rocks bot lane an adaptation to their first game loss, or is a hidden pick, say, for SKT in semis? It feels pretty prepared.
I think it's almost guaranteed a hidden pick, something that they had been preparing. I don't think that you just randomly bring that out in the semis without having practiced that. But
Yeah, it looks really well rehearsed too.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that was sick.
Faker might
Faker could be in trouble. Damage is there, and that's such a good pick-off. I cannot stress this enough. PraY's Ashe is amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they could get
There
chased down.
goes
They're actually
Peanut.
like
Oh.
cut off from their base, so Rocks can push mid, and they kind of have the inside edge here.
Exactly what
Be
they're
able
going
to
to
at
do.
least get this turret.
Ooh, Kuro chasing down Duke could be dangerous. Kuro's like, yep, don't really fancy my 1v1. Gonna rejoin my team, and Rock's actually gonna go Baron instead. They call the audible away from that mid tier 2. I'm gonna try and take down this buff. Faker up 20 seconds, Blank still alive.
This should be good for Rockstar for the most part. It's hard for Olaf to get into the pit, and they have all 5 up. They should at least be able to... Oh, they might try to burn it, actually.
Got the damage.
Wolf does have Zyra ult and stuff too.
Oh, Blank runs in here. Ragnarok, he knows he got the steal, but he's just getting it blown up. Beautiful play from the Rocks Tigers, securing yet another Baron.
Yeah, for Olaf, it's so hard to get those Baron steals because it's so predictable how he's going to do it. I think it's hard to say like if he should have gone in like a little later or something, but maybe he didn't have the information to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have flash, so you can't go over the wall. You don't have a gap closer. There's like no dash. You just have to run straight through everyone. But ooh, another
You lose your
arrow.
resist too when you just run in, right? So
Yeah.
it's hard for him.
Power's starting to fall left, right, and center. Now 4-2 up in turret for the Rocks Tigers, and the bot lane duo has kind of just snowballed the rest of the map out of control. Rocks again taking over, and PraY setting up for pick after pick after pick. Rocks, they're great as a macro team. They know where they want to be on the map, and PraY's just setting it all up for them.
Yeah, I mean, the Ashe arrow onto FLICKR gets them that kill, and that's what allows them to take the Baron, and really that's what they needed to kind of blow this game open, because now they're up quite a bit of gold. They can look to use that Baron buff to take out the last outers. If they can pick up top and bot, that's a lot more gold going into their pockets, and they can continue to kind of push this forward. And they will have to be a bit careful, though, of like TP flanks from Duke and stuff, because if you do get flanked by Duke and Blank, and FLICKR can kind of somehow get a shockwave off, you know, with the ball delivery systems and stuff, that can be scary. But I do think that they're in a fantastic position to kind of push in here and extend their lead.
Yeah. Also, they've just been so like patient with the game. They're only going on good Ashe arrows, which makes like the game pretty fail-safe too. Like there's not much risk in what they're doing, and also. I think now since they have the Baron buff, they can actually just pull the trigger and on one of the towers just go for a dive if the arrow hits well.
I also think that PraY's build is quite intelligent. Whoa.
Nice arrow.
That's an ulti.
He's so scared actually. I don't think he was in too much trouble.
Yeah, it's probably just a little bit of nerves there, getting a little bit scared, as you said, from that. But the Maw, I think, is quite smart, because it's like, when you look at this game, it's like, okay, well, how does SKT win? Well, it's probably Duke diving in on the Ashe and getting a shockwave off, you know, like that kind of a big play where you just one round is Ashe, who's really strong, and building the Maw, he doesn't actually need like an IE. He doesn't need to be this godlike auto attacker. He just needs to keep fishing for arrows and stay alive. And I think that this build is really intelligent because
Ooh, and PraY, great ult from FLICKR.
As we say that.
Can't save you from anything.
I mean, damage is there. They're trying to do it. Pina, oh my god, you're crazy. Ulti there from MF can actually zone them out. It's enough for Blake. All the heal forced out. Not enough.
It did way more damage than I thought, actually. I thought it was definitely not going to
I mean, we saw it before. Black Cleaver didn't get to be finished, but it will be finished this game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready for legitimate damage misfortune as the tier 2 drops again, and the Rock Squad is back to the fountain.
What do you guys think will be the next item for MF?
Oh, man.
She has
No, after Black Cleaver.
After
So
Black
he's
Cleaver,
got it now.
Yeah, so I actually think that...
IE, do it. No.
Well, I
Ghost Blade?
personally think that someone should get a locket. Like,
Okay.
the fact that they don't have a locket, I think is pretty bad. Does he have to build it? No, I think Lee Sin or someone could build it. But I don't know what your feeling is on this. I think not having a locket against Orianna and Zyra and an Echo is like pretty bad itemization for your team.
I think you just can't control Pina. He's just going to build some damage and some tanky stuff.
Someone's got to take the hit. Build an 80 carry locket. Get in there, PraY. Because someone should have a locket against 3 APs who are going to be doing a significant amount of damage, especially just like the ambient damage and stuff from Zyra as she starts to get more spell plan, I think. It can be a massive difference.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a little late too. It's like 32 minutes, so when Locket gets finished, it should be like 35 or, you know, 37 minutes into the game.
Oh, Blank running with the ball.
Oh, he caught the axe.
Gonna try and start something here. Kuro gonna get forward out position, and that's enough damage. Actually should be able to take him out instead, and they
Duke
will.
GorillA too.
Kuro lives for a little while, but Duke dives in. GorillA trying to cut out as best he can, but he forced the ult out. GorillA doing huge amount of damage, and here comes PraY for cleanup. Whoop! Taking damage as FLICKR slays MF finally, but Pina in the other side as Smev tries to dive in. 2v4 right now. PraY, can he cut it out for a little longer? Peanut's gonna bail, and he's just gonna fire away. PraY does a decent amount of damage. There it is. There, Pina cleans up Bang, but now it's 1v3. Blank looking in, does go down, and PraY is going to put the team on his back again. Pina revives from the GA. Now they're going to turn it back in. PraY gets one there, takes up FLICKR. Duke going to go down as well, and PraY saves the day once again as the Rocks Tigers style on SK Telecom.
That was like a 2v4.
That was
absurd.
2v4.
Holy moly.
I actually can't believe that. And PraY flashed forward as an Ashe into that fight, cleaning it up. And it kind of feels to me like SKT either needed to fully bail out or fully commit to that. And they kind of waffled a bit back and forth, and it was a great start to the fight. I mean, Blank is essentially just able to run down Kuro and kill him off almost for free. But, you know, on the later half of this fight, PraY comes in, he's pretty much untouched, and a lot of SKT got chunked out, both by the Rumble ulti and by the MF ulti. And then here, I do really feel like SKT needed to all run and zone with the Faker's Orianna ball, or fully commit. Like, everyone go in on him at the same time. Because they're just strafing back and forth, there's lots of free autos going off, and then he's able to commit to it. And Faker still is not in position to kind of return damage there, right? Like, no one is in the right position.
Yeah, it seems like just a lot of scramble calls. Maybe they're really happy about the fight going well to start, so they weren't so finished on like the tail end of it. Yeah, this is just an insane play, honestly. Like, Peanut even used his kick to like finish, like pretty much wasted it on Zyra because she was already dead. So all they really had was just like a Ashe flash and a tanky Lee Sin with no ult. It's crazy that they actually turned that whole fight around.
And I like kind of a question about, you know, how does the MF ulti with Black Cleaver Mortal Reminder do? Pretty good amount of damage, actually. I mean, with the Rumble ulti, there's kind of a cool AoE combo, so I like seeing that. I don't quite like the longsword as
They want
much.
PraY. He has no flash, remember.
Gotta keep bailing. Blank wants it. He's not gonna get it.
Well, actually, if Blank like just ulted the Lee Sin kick,
Exactly.
that might have been a kill actually.
He needed to ult earlier, but that kick allowed him to peel, and now he doesn't have his ult.
Yep. Blank's caught.
Could
Good
be in trouble.
equalizer. Gonna try and jam them down, but SKT getting out. No Kuro. Gonna force them out with the AoE zone. Bang needs to run. Does get out.
That's a Victor nerf right there.
Yeah.
The storm is so slow if you're not around it. But yeah, they barely scrape by. They might lose the tower here for... Actually, the wave is a little far. They're just going to set up for the Baron.
Yep, up in 25 seconds. So smart stuff from Rox. Always have the objectives in mind and will be plenty healthy with the triple Ocean Drakes they've accrued as well. Rox certainly in position to push themselves to the series point here if they take this game. We might see Ashe win 3 games in the series already. Bottom lane certainly look great here for Rox. And SKT, it's just been the struggle. You know, Bang's pretty big. We'll see if it's Caitlyn can show up in the late game team fights. But Wolf has had a rough 2 games in a row now.
Yeah, Wolf has been very ineffective, but I will say that SKT, even though they are behind quite a bit of gold, if they can keep hanging around, the gold starts to matter less and less pretty soon here. Usually people talk about like the 80,000 gold mark type thing where everyone's starting to get capped out. And Rox's players are getting kind of close to that point. Faker does have a lot of items. If he lands a shockwave, it can turn around fights. And Rox is gonna have to be careful because they don't have flashes right now on their carries. And if they got caught by Duke, by Faker, they can still get taken down. And even that top lane fight, right? That was very close to going SKT's way, if not for some incredible play from PraY specifically and some kind of miscommunication from SKT.
Yeah, I think the name of the game is just to do what's been working for them all game. Yeah, fish for arrows and like stay away from Duke and Blank like the plague, you know. Just really keep your distance, and one of these arrows are gonna hit, you know. We trust PraY.
And I like kind of what you said before, Gate, about it. It's like it's very safe way to try and approach there.
They're doing the opposite, so
This is risky. I mean, PraY doesn't have his flash still. Kuro almost does. Wow.
Great calculation. Arrow hits. Someone?
Banshees.
Ah, unlucky. It hit, so his hit rate stays up. But now SKT are actually in a good little flank kind of here. SKT have to be careful. But Duke's kind of zoning them away, and this is a dangerous spot to walk through, but they will do so, and they claim the Baron safely. Everyone's still alive.
I'm pretty surprised that SKT wasn't in position to even try something there, and it looks like they're setting up for a bit of a desperation flank or something that they were trying to get, but Rox is aware where they are, and they can just kind of shove in mid lane and make SKT take the long way home.
Everyone's got their cooldowns, though. Rock's going to shove down mid.
Well, SKT are in a really bad spot.
Yeah,
because
they got to try to fight now, I think, almost.
yeah.
And PraY has his ulti again, so they are just going to look to try to commit to a fight.
But they have a complete flank.
But do they? Rox to run up top.
This is so all in. So he's going to actually zone them out. Duke taking damage. Rock's just going to stand and try and kite them out of the way here.
They're gonna lose everything for this. They might lose top tower too. There's no wave, but they get up for free too.
Yeah, they just run out top.
Wow.
So that was so well managed by Rox, and that really just kind of stinks of desperation to me from SKT. They knew they shouldn't have given up the Baron. Then they do. They try to set up in the Wraith Brush, but they get spotted out. I think that was a Hawk shot, or maybe just they expected him to be there. But either way, so well done by Rox. They get one free inhib. And now, massive wave here. They're pushing for 2, and
Ooh, it's FLICKR again. Peanut wants it. He's going to commit. He flashes for it, but FLICKR going to ulti 2 back. Smeb taking damage as well. Bang is burning down as the Zonis gets popped for Rumble. Tower is going to fall here, but Rox maybe went a little too far forward. Peanut, though, revives again. GA usage, very nice. Bang, forced to flash out and gets himself to safety, but the damage is almost done. Blank looks like he might go down. He barely lives through the Victor damage, and Rox ravaged through SKT's base. They're going for it, actually.
And this is kind of risky because all of SKT are alive down.
It's kind of risky. That's just Rox Tigers in as a whole, man.
They want Bang. They look for it with the proto about Duke trying to flank, but PraY is going to shoot him down. Duke might buy his team some time, but he's going to die. Oh, no.
This could be the game, actually.
That might have just cost him the game.
Maybe.
He was trying to cut the creep wave there, and he actually just got stuck in the minions and taken out.
I mean, not too much he could have done, but it's very unfortunate for Duke, certainly, as he does get caught and killed, and the GA's burnt as well. Oh, the hits on the Blank, they're just going to try and zerg him down. Not quite enough damage, but again, SKT are solo. They are fighting with almost no health, trying to close out this game, and Roxy just slowly pushing forward. Peanut in again, kicks someone in the face and takes out Blank. Rox Tigers up 2-1.
What a game. I think it's another story of the bottom lane, though. This MF Ash duo is just doing so much.
Seriously, PraY just like hard carried that game. That was pretty incredible. He was played so well. And even just at the end, you can see how frustrating it was to play against GorillA. He was constantly zoning people out with the E. Like, anytime Bang was trying to move in and get some damage out, he'd immediately get E'd by MF. So you're slowed down, you're standing in this AoE, taking damage. Even just the threat of like Lee Sin hitting a Q on you or something when you're in that slow field is much higher. So you have to like just back off.
Yeah, it seems like it's really easy to kill the tanks too. Even like the Echo was really strong that game, but the Black Cleaver MF can just shred his armor.
So that's actually what I was going to ask you. I remembered I had a question because we saw more from Ash. We saw Mortal Reminder, Black Cleaver, of course, from MF, but no major armor penetration item on the Ash. I was going to ask you guys what you thought about it, because usually we see, some sort of Last Whisper item, but did MF maybe with the more as well just provide enough, do you think?
I honestly just think it was one of those things where he just wanted to survive more than he needed to do the extra damage. Like, they were enough ahead that it was just about the arrows and stuff to me. Like, he wanted CDR. He's not going the IE build where it's about all his auto attacks and stuff. The Maw, to me, once again, is just showing he just needs to survive to do enough like that. Because they had a lot of damage from the rest of their team too. Like, MF is doing a decent bit. Victor is really
Rumble's
strong.
doing a lot as
Rumble
well,
does a lot. You just don't need the extra damage. At least that's how I read it.
Maybe in the later parts of the game, he might have opted to sell like an item for it. But yeah, you saw like everyone's a damage dealer, so there's no reason to have 5 damage dealers, right? But they did anyway, so.
And I have even more fun facts for you. So I mentioned, I think, last game, GorillA was doing more damage than anyone else in the game at one point. I think about 14 minutes or so. This game, GorillA outdamaged everyone on SK Telecom. He did more damage to champions than FLICKR, than Bang on Caitlyn, than even Duke and his diving Echo.
It's pretty insane. And a lot of it is so much to do with composition, like you talked about. The Rumble ultimate in the back line, MF is zoning you out, the Ash arrow coming in, the threat of Lee Sin. There's so much kind of just zoning to the SKT carries that they actually can't get in to do anything, right? They can't get in to do any attacks because you start walking forward to attack, and then all of a sudden, Rumble ulti, MFE, Ash arrow, like all this stuff, and you just have no health anymore.
Yeah. Usually games are about damage dealers, but actually this game was about the tanks. So they couldn't get too much done with like how much of an advantage Rox had.
And I mean, we unfortunately will not be covering the bot lane again next game, but we are going to get at least another game here. I have to ask you though, if you're going, you've played against it twice now, do you not pick Zyra? Do you ban Misfortune? Like,
I think
do you take Ash away? Maybe that's the key piece?
Definitely look for the Ash or something. And just don't play Zyra. You don't have to ban MF, but I think just avoid Zyra. I know Wolf can play other champions, but I don't think he has to tunnel so hard on just having the Zyra for his own team.
Well, thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for joining us, because up next, Zig is going to be back for a single team perspective cast. We'll see Game 4 through Rox Tigers' eyes only with the Fog of War enabled. Until then, we'll send you back to New York as Dash and the analysts break down another explosive Rox Tigers victory.
It's all about the draft, because you talked about adjustments, Dash. They got 4 out of the 5 same champions, and okay, the utility from Karma is different to what Victor brings, but it's still going to be Hex Core, Rylai's. The utility's catch, not so much shields for the team, and it's ultra comfort for Kuro. He can just push the lane, and everything else was the same, and it basically went the same exact way for the Rox Tigers.
Yeah, this draft from SKT is perfectly fine if they can avoid losing bottom lane, because FLICKR's on Orianna, he's winning his lane. The problem is he can't really move too far from this lane too often and actually impact the other lanes. When the bot lane's losing, it goes wrong.
You just said this draft is fine if they don't lose bottom lane.
Yes.
But Ash MF just straight won by him. Of course, Peanut did show up and had that solid gank, but what do you mean it was fine if they don't lose bottom lane?
Why don't you call down your jungler against this MF who's going to die to a flash root from a Zyra as an example? Why don't you flash the first Ash arrow instead of standing there, taking it in your face,
very difficult,
and then flash after? Like, there are ways for SKT to play around it. I do agree Ash MF is a big issue and needs to be fixed for next game, but SKT's draft can win the game.
The important thing is how they're playing around this bottom lane, right? They're drafting for it, and
Ganking
Peanut
it.
keeps coming down there, or, you know, they have again with the double teleports, but they're bringing extra pressure to the pressure they already have because of the champion.
And SKT's adaptation this game, because we said, you know, pretty much gave the same comp over to Rox, is ganking Smeb, taking down the Rumble, but they were still winning the bot lane. By the time Smeb actually escaped lane, it still helped the situation. They got a kill on Bang, but it wasn't necessary because everyone else was playing out of their mind. And the ganking Smeb, you know, it's a Rumble. He'll build his items and he'll be fine.
And now let's just take a look at this utility that PraY provides with the Ashe. I mean, arrow after arrow hitting. I mean, only a few missed here and there. Starting off right here, this is that double kill in the very beginning of the game.
And this is what happens when you have a player who's been playing Ashe, like Jad said, since Season 1. Now in his career, he is 28-5 on Ashe, an 85% win rate over 30-plus games, and it's all about the arrow accuracy. That's what you really notice from the guys who've put in the time with that.
And the little things. The clip that we just saw there, you know, he puts down the scouting ward from the blue trinket. As soon as Azara gets baited into turning around and attacking the ward, the arrow's already on the way. The ward is just a little trick.
And I think a key thing that Jap pointed out too is target selection within the game, right? Recognizing, okay, now who can live through being hit by a max range arrow? Who's got, you know, a QSS or a way to get out of it? Right there at the end, we saw Orianna FLICKR not with any way to respond to the Ashe arrow.
Yeah, and I feel like if your, you know, contingency plan is dodge stuff and outplay these things that have just beat you 2 games in a row, I'm not down with that contingency plan. I'd much rather
I
have
appreciate the confidence, though.
But all right, it's also the chaos that they're bringing here, the Rox Tigers, because Orianna's not building QSS because she should be behind a tank line. She's putting shields on the front line and just having someone else absorb that Ashe arrow, caught out of position. Excellent job by PraY. Made a pick that should never have existed.
Sure. I think there's another thing to highlight with PraY's Ashe here. Now we can keep talking about him because he's playing like the best AD carry. Yeah, he's playing the best AD carry in the world right now. The way he's constantly keeping up his Ranger's focus, like the extra Q damage he gets in, and the way he's dancing in and out of fights. Whenever it goes, you know, whenever it goes off, gets a few auto attacks down, and then he flashes forward aggressively, you know, gets another hit with it.
Yeah, you want to talk about PraY some more?
I do want to talk about
Let's
that.
go ahead and take a look at an Ace replay in the top lane where Rox proves that the unseen PraY is the deadliest.
And this is just like, it looks really bad because if you look at your minimap, there is an Ashe in the mid lane trying to run to join the fight. There's a Rumble TPing behind your team. Your mid laner goes down, and SKT is actually winning the fight at the moment, but they're getting pretty low, and now the big hero shows up.
And we see the perils of AD carries getting in melee range. We saw Victor, for example, deleting double lift in that Samsung TSM game, but PraY knows his ranges oh so well, and the way they dance in what is a 2v4 is
Exactly. The proc there gets the proc.
This sort of play is
Well, that's that flash in that you're talking about, knowing to dance around certain key spells. Of course, Peanut on the res here from the Guardian's Angel, and maybe some questionable target selection from Duke there on the end, but either way, the ace comes through for Rox Tigers. And here's the thing, you said that the MF was useless, but come on.
No. Never said she was useless.
17.5K
Never
damage,
said she was useless. Said she was good, but you could play around it.
I'm just giving you trouble. But, I mean, again, we see, you know, from both of these teams that once leads are established, that they can continue to push those leads. Again, that gold graph, just that nice little uphill climb the whole way through for Rox Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them bring back Bangi as one change and also ban out the Ashe. Yes, there are things, you know, you can try and play around it, buy earlier QSSs, but I'd rather just see them ban it out.
I actually think what could happen next game here are there are 2 bans SKT probably want to keep, which is Aurelion Sol and Jace. Jace from Smeb, obviously, up in the top lane.
Yeah.
That means you can only ban either one of MF and Ashe. So I actually think what could happen, because SKT's blue side, they ban the MF and just first pick Ashe for Bang. He played it game 1, remove that away from PraY, remove the MF so you can play Zyra or Karma or Nami down that bottom lane as well.
All right, well, we're going to have some time to discuss Game 4 on the flip side of a commercial break. Match point is just around the corner here at Madison Square Garden. Don't go anywhere. Game 4 starts in just a bit.
처음 만난 그대가 그리워진 사람 다시 만날 뻔해. 잡아봤거든?
Inside, wow, Duke deletes one, but it's a trade as well. Both supports are dead, and now Duke is being chased. Gets back onto PraY. They have the damage. Jesse does it, the shutdown.
And then likely retreating to the area.
Equalizes on, they want this was going to FLICKR as well, and he's just gone. GorillA gets the credit, of course, why not? How much more can they get? The stun's coming in, and it's Duke with the big play, but the turnaround from PraY, turning it back in, the chase, the resonating strike, and it's 2-1 Rocks Tigers. They are one game away from breaking the curse.
Dare to be different. Revel in the impossible. Introducing a little anarchy. Disrupting the natural order. Because a hero lies in all of us. Nothing is beyond your reach. Claim your victory and go forth to conquer new worlds.